The secret code behind supermarket layouts. You think you are entering a pantry, a clean, well-lit place of abundance designed for your convenience and health. But the historical record reveals something far more clinical. The modern supermarket is not a store. It is a high-fidelity psychological trap. It is a carefully engineered environment where every smell, every sound, and every inch of floor space has been weaponized against your willpower. Architects call it the threshold of transition. The moment you pass through those sliding doors, you have entered a decompression chamber. Psychological design takes over. Notice how the entrance is often cluttered with plants, flowers, or fresh produce. This isn't for your aesthetic pleasure. In the lore of the labyrinth, this is the sensory reset. The bright colors of the fruit and the scent of cut flowers trigger a primal response in the brain. They signal safety and freshness. They clear the stress of the parking lot and the traffic outside, resetting your brain to a state of passive compliance. Before you've even checked your shopping list, your biology has been hacked. You have ceased to be a citizen with a budget. You have become a variable in a profit maximization algorithm. Welcome to the labyrinth. To find the origin of this maze, we go back to 1916 and a man named Clarence Saunders. This is the missing page of consumer history. Before Saunders, grocery shopping was a social interaction. You stood at a counter, you spoke to a clerk, and they fetched your items. You were in control of the interaction. In 1916, Saunders filed a patent that changed the human experience forever. He called it the self-serving store, but the patent drawings reveal the true intent. It was a mandatory path. Saunders' original Piggly Wiggly in Memphis, Tennessee, was designed like a literal labyrinth. There was one entrance and one exit. To reach the exit, you were legally and physically forced to walk past every single item in the store. You could not pop in for milk. You had to endure the gauntlet. While the physical walls of that maze eventually came down, the coded logic remained. The modern supermarket is the direct evolution of Saunders' protocol from 1916. We traded our social agency for a shopping cart, and in doing so, we handed the keys to our subconscious over to the architects of the maze. We are still walking the path Saunders drew over 100 years ago. We just can't see the walls anymore. Once you are inside the maze, the architecture begins its primary task, the suspension of time. Architects call this the Gruen effect, named after Victor Gruen, the same man who designed the first shopping malls. It is a state of sensory overload where the brain simply stops calculating value. Have you ever noticed that supermarkets have no windows? Have you ever seen a clock on the wall of a grocery store? This is eternal twilight. By removing all external markers of time, the store keeps you in a liminal state. The bright, consistent fluorescent lighting mimics a permanent noon, preventing your body from feeling the natural passage of the day. Studies in environmental psychology show that for every minute past 30 you spend in a supermarket, your rational brain begins to fatigue. This is when the cognitive shift occurs. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that handles math and logic, shuts down. You stop comparing price per ounce. You stop looking at your list. You begin to shop with your eyes, not your mind. Eternal twilight is the anesthetic that makes the extraction of your money painless. There is a specific geometry to the maze known as the perimeter trap. Think about your last trip to the store. Where was the milk? Where were the eggs? Where was the meat? In 98% of supermarkets, these essentials are placed at the absolute farthest point from the entrance. This is the dairy anchor. It is a logistical ritual designed to maximize your travel distance. By placing the items you actually need at the back, the store forces you to traverse the gauntlet of impulse. You must walk past thousands of items, colorful boxes, salted snacks, sugar-laden treats, before you reach the sanctuary of the dairy case. But look closer at the path. Why is the produce always first and the bread always last? Because the lore dictates that if you fill your cart with healthy items like kale and apples first, you feel a psychological moral license. Your brain tells you, "I have been good," which lowers your guard for the junk food aisles later. The produce section isn't just about health. It is a guilt-cleansing ritual that prepares you to spend more on high-margin processed poisons in the center of the maze. But the labyrinth doesn't just use your eyes, it uses your nose. Have you noticed how the bakery is almost always near the entrance? In the lore of the labyrinth, this is the olfactory anchor. The smell of fresh bread triggers a primal response in the human brain. It signals safety and abundance. It bypasses the logical mind and speaks directly to the gut. But here is the disturbing truth. Many modern supermarkets do not actually bake their bread in the front. They use scent diffusers. Companies like Scent Air or Prolitech provide signature scents that are pumped through the ventilation system. They are hacking your biology with ghost smells. They use artificial aerosols designed to mimic the smell of baking bread or rotisserie chicken, because a hungry shopper is an emotional shopper. Their data shows that scent marketing can increase sales in the bakery department by up to 300%. You are not smelling food, you are smelling an algorithm designed to trigger a hunger that did not exist until you walk through those doors. The code is not just on the floor, it is on the walls. The shelving units are a vertical battlefield. At eye level for an adult, roughly 5 feet off the ground, lives the bullseye. These are not the best values. These are not the healthiest choices. These are the high-margin traps. In the world of retail lore, these spots are sold like real estate. Brands pay what are called slotting fees, secret bribes paid to the supermarket chains to ensure their products are the first thing you see. If a brand cannot pay the toll, they are banished to the bottom shelf, where value lives. But look lower. At the level of a child's eyes, roughly 3 feet high, the lore shifts into something more predatory. This is the pester zone. This is where the brightest colors, the loudest mascots, and the highest sugar content live. The characters on the cereal boxes are often designed to look downward at a 45-degree angle to make eye contact with your child. The architecture is literally using children as a biological bypass to the parents' logic. It is a multi-generational strategy encoded into the very height of the shelves. It is not a choice. It is a coded negotiation between a corporation and a 4-year-old. But the labyrinth has eyes. This is the digital shadow of the grocery store. Have you ever wondered why every store is so desperate for you to use a loyalty card? They tell you it is for the discounts. In the lore of data, the discount is the bait. The modern supermarket is a data harvesting field. Every time you scan that card, you are feeding the entity. They track not just what you buy, but when you buy it, how often you buy it, and what you buy it with. Using infrared dwell time sensors in the ceiling, stores track your physical movement. They know which aisles you skipped. They know how long you stood in front of the frozen peas before choosing a brand. This data is then sold to data brokers who combine it with your credit card history and your social media activity. By the time you reach the register, the store's back-end system knows more about your health and your financial stability than your own doctor. You are not just a customer. You are a data asset being farmed for insights. The supermarket is the physical interface of the surveillance state. Finally, you reach the end. The exit is in sight. But the labyrinth has one last ritual for you, the checkout gauntlet. This is the narrowest point in the store. You are trapped, you are stationary, and most importantly, you are exhausted. Your decision fatigue is at its peak. This is why the checkout is lined with microstimulants, sugar, caffeine, and status anxiety in the form of celebrity gossip magazines. After the stress of navigating the maze, your brain is seeking a dopamine hit. The grab-and-go items are the final tax of the labyrinth. And then the price ritual. Notice how prices often end in 99 cents. This is the left digit effect. Your brain, tired from the eternal twilight, perceives $4.99 as significantly cheaper than $5. It is a 100-year-old psychological glitch that we still have not patched. The next time you walk into a grocery store, do not look at your list. Look at the architecture. Observe the sensory reset at the door. Feel the eternal twilight as you lose track of the afternoon. Recognize the perimeter trap as you walk the long path to the milk. Alice had her looking glass. The Greeks had their minotaur. And we have the grocery store. The most disturbing part of the lore of the labyrinth is not that we are being manipulated. It is that we have become so accustomed to the maze that we find the freedom of a real market, chaotic, loud, and human, to be uncomfortable. You think you are leaving the labyrinth when you walk through those sliding doors with your bags. But look around. The brands you bought are in your kitchen. The data you gave is in the cloud. The habits they encoded in you are in your DNA. In the modern world, the store does not end at the exit. The labyrinth is everywhere, and you are exactly where the designers want you to be. Welcome to the lore.